Welcome to Live Interactive English. My name is Winnie.
And I'm Mike.
And today we are talking about agreeing and disagreeing, part 2.
Yes, we are. Of course, yesterday we looked at a couple of situations where people had different opinions. They didn't agree. They didn't think the same thing, but they talked about it. They listened to each other, which is just as important as telling people what you think. You need to listen to what they think. And you might find that, what they say makes sense. Maybe I should let them decide, or I should follow their idea. Even if you disagree, it doesn't mean you end up fighting or end up having hurt feelings. But of course, it's always nice when we just agree. When I say, I like this, and you say, I do too. Oh, that's nice.
And I think it also depends on the relationship, right? So yesterday we talked about, friends disagreeing.
Yep.
But then there's also, maybe a teacher and a student disagreeing. Very different,
that
okay?
Could be different, yes.
But we are going to dive into it today for part 2.
All right. Also, I guess it's important, what are you talking about, right? If it's something small, like where should we eat dinner? If we disagree, no big deal. But I think our first dialogue, this could lead to fraud. This is a big thing.
Big discussion.
Wedding. We're planning a wedding. Will they agree or disagree? If they disagree, the wedding might not even happen.
Ooh.
So sad, so much pressure. What's going on? Let's find out. Horace and Patricia are talking about their wedding plans.
Have you thought any more about where we should have the wedding?
Yes. I love all the options we've considered, but ultimately, I'd like to get married on the beach. I think it would be lovely.
I was thinking the same. It's pretty easy for our families to get there too.
Exactly.
And what about the honeymoon?
I'd love to go to Italy. It's so beautiful.
And the food is great.
Exactly. I'm so excited. It's going to be the best time of our lives.
Okay, continuing on with our topic of agreeing and disagreeing, today we are going to be hopefully agreeing on some wedding plans.
Okay, I'm glad there's no question mark there. Agreeing on wedding plans?
Oh,
no.
okay.
Since
You're
it's
right.
a statement, I guess they're going to agree, but the pressure is on for Horace and Patricia. Horace and Patricia, I guess, are getting married because it says they are talking about their wedding plans.
Right.
Now, it's probably the couple, and they're discussing where to get married, what kind of cake to have, how many people to invite. When you plan a wedding, there are many decisions to make. Most people only want to do this once in their life, so there can be pressure to have it be perfect and, just the way you always dreamed. Because weddings are big events. A wedding is when you find someone, you fall in love, and you say, I want to spend the rest of my life with this wonderful person. We will get married. We will be a little family of 2, and then maybe we'll have kids, and then we'll grow old and we'll die together. And it all begins at the wedding, that event. It could be in a church. It could also be the dinner afterwards, a temple, wherever you do it. You're joining your lives together, bringing your families together in a way, and it is a big event.
A celebration.
A big celebration of your love and your future together. Hopefully. Next, let's look at our example sentence. It says, next week, I'm going to my best friend's wedding. All right, so let's see how this all begins. Horace begins the conversation with a big question. Have you, asking Patricia, have you thought any more about where we should have the wedding? Right. So they've talked about this a little bit, but they haven't made a decision. He's wondering if Patricia has had some new ideas about where to actually do it, in a church, at my house, somewhere else, on top of a mountain. Where will we actually do the whole da-da-da-da, ring, ring, kiss, kiss, love, love, happy, happy?
They're discussing the venue, right? Venue. And he is trying to take her opinion into consideration. So Patricia says, yes, I love all the options we've considered, but ultimately, I'd like to get married on the beach. Okay, so she says ultimately, that means that's her final decision. Okay, so I'd like to get married on the beach. I think it would be lovely. So that's her idea of where she would like the wedding.
Beautiful beach wedding, everyone's sitting there, blue ocean, birds, sun, sky, lovely. I was thinking the same. Well, that's good. They agree about this. I was thinking the same means I have the same idea, I agree. It's pretty easy for our families to get there too.
Right. So they're taking in consideration, is it easy access for people and do people have to fly in? So then Patricia says, exactly. So they're on the same page, they agree.
I think that's a decision. So they move on to another question, another thing to think about. And what about the honeymoon? What about that little romantic holiday we will take after the wedding when we go away somewhere beautiful and lovely?
Right. Then Patricia says, I'd love to go to Italy. It's so beautiful. That is her idea of a great vacation to have with her newlywed, right?
Okay, romantic, lovely. Maybe they can find a little village in the mountains and just spend a lot of time there in love. And they can also eat. Horace says, and the food is great.
Right, and Patricia says, exactly. I'm so excited. It's going to be the best time of our lives, and I'm so happy for Horace and Patricia, and so happy that I think we deserve a break.
Okay, I agree. We'll come back soon.
Hello， 大家好，我是 Hanny。我们今天要来继续看2段关于表达赞同与反对的对话。那在第3段对话里 ，Horace 和 Patricia 在讨论他们的婚礼计划。那么 Horace 就问 Patricia 有没有再想想看这个婚礼的举办地点，还有这个蜜月的地点。Patricia 说她考虑过所有的选项之后，她最后想要在海滩上结婚。那么蜜月则是想去意大利，觉得那边很美。Horace 也想要在海滩上举办婚礼，而且他们的家人到那边也很方便。至于意大利这个地点，除了很美，他也觉得那边的食物很棒。好，那来看单字 wedding， 它就表示婚礼。老师们有用到这个 newlywed。N-E-W-L-Y-W-E-D Newlywed 表示新婚的人，那我们也常用复数型 newlyweds 去表达新婚夫妻。好，在讲到婚礼地点时 Winnie 老师则用到 venue 这个字 V-E-N-U-E Venue 它表示会场或是场地。那这边一个重点，我们进入文法时间。这边我们要介绍 what about 的使用情境。第一种呢，它可以用来提出建议，询问是否考虑其他人事物啊，询问对方的意见，或者是引出新的主题，也就是表达什么什么如何呢？你认为什么什么怎么样呢？好，举例来说 I like singing and dancing. What about you? 我喜欢唱歌跳舞，你呢？或者是 What about going to the beach tomorrow? 明天去海边玩怎么样啊？好，那第二个情境是我们可以用来询问对于某事该如何处理，该怎么处理。假设我们跟朋友聊到减少塑胶使用，聊到环保牙刷，也许你就突然想到说But what about toothpaste? Toothpaste usually comes in a plastic tube. 但牙膏怎么办啊？牙膏通常都装在塑胶管里，这样要怎么减少塑胶使用呢？好，那我们接着回到课文中。
Brian and Valerie are sitting in a cafe.
So, who are you going to vote for in the election?
I'm voting for the purple party. What about you?
The Yellow Party, of course. They're promising to cut taxes.
Sure, but the purple party is going to put more money into schools and hospitals. I think that's exactly what this country needs.
Well, the economy will suffer if taxes don't go down, so there will be less money for everyone.
There are no easy solutions. We all just have to vote for what we think is best.
Agreed. It's good that we have the vote at all. People in many other countries don't have that right.
Well said.
Okay, welcome back. We have one more conversation for you about agreeing and disagreeing. So far today, everyone's agreed.
Yeah, they're on the same page.
They all agreed about the wedding plans, Horace and Patricia. Ooh, but this is one where you might disagree with people. We can use the noun form. There might be a disagreement with people. We are discussing an election. There's a famous old saying that says, if you want to have friends, if you're having a conversation like at a dinner party, what is it? Politics and religion are the two things you don't talk about. Because people have strong feelings about this, and even if you're friends, you can really disagree and feelings can get hurt. Friendships can be damaged. So let's see what's happening here. Brian and Valerie are sitting in a cafe, and apparently they're going to be talking about an election that will be happening soon.
Yes, so they're discussing an election, and an election is a noun, and it basically means an event where people go to vote for something. So in school, you might have a student council, and of course, the student body, meaning the students, they get the right to vote for whichever president they think will help them, you know, kind of make their school life a little bit better. But they need to have an election for that. So that is when, you know, we were saying before about a campaign, right? So a person that wants to get elected will go around and saying, hey, vote for me and I will promise you this. So for example, over 10 million people voted in the election. That means 10 million people went to a place to cast in their vote and say, I want this person.
Exactly. Of course, elections are always how we choose the leaders in politics. If you're voting for your favorite ice cream or something, that's not usually an election. That might be a poll or a survey or something. Elections are to pick our leaders. So let's see what's going on. Brian begins the conversation. He says, so, who are you going to vote for in the election? He is curious to know who Valerie will choose to give her vote to in the election. And remember, you don't have to tell anyone this information. This is private information. You don't have to tell people your weight, how old you are. You don't have to tell them who you vote for. But if you know the person well, you might tell them, but you don't have to.
And sometimes you don't even have to vote.
No, that's true, you don't have to vote.
Valerie, yes, you should. Valerie says, I'm voting for the purple party.
Purple party.
What about you? So she's returning it and saying, hey, who are you going to vote for?
Yeah, so she's comfortable telling him, I'm a purple person. I'm a purple party person. And so she is voting for the purple party. And he says, the yellow party, of course.
So different.
Ooh,
different
and from the way he says it, he's kind of surprised she would vote for the purple party. He clearly is a yellow guy. The yellow party, of course, clear decision for him, easy decision for him. Why? They're promising to cut taxes. So we would call this guy a single issue voter. For him, taxes are the most important. If you will cut the taxes, I will vote for you. I don't really care about the other stuff. I just don't want to give the government more of my money.
For him, that's the deciding factor of why he's choosing to vote for the yellow party.
Exactly.
But then Valerie says, sure, but the purple party is going to put more money into schools and hospitals. I think that's exactly what this country needs. So clearly the difference between them, you know, what they care about is very different.
Yeah, she's kind of saying, I like taxes. Taxes pay for schools and hospitals and good stuff. I don't want to pay less. I want to maybe even pay more. Or
She's thinking, well, you know, the taxes, at least they'll go somewhere.
Yeah, they'll do something useful for lots of people, maybe not me, but for many people I live around in the country. And so Brian says, well, the economy will suffer if taxes don't go down, so there'll be less money for everyone. He's kind of saying if the taxes are high, businesses will leave, and of course that will mean less tax money in the end. He's kind of saying if you cut taxes, more money will be there and magical things will happen. He's not too worried about people suffering. To suffer is to go through a bad situation, to have things in your life not go well, and to have a lot of trouble and difficulty and hardship. You can suffer in lots of ways. If your health is not good, you can suffer in that way. If you don't have enough money to live, you suffer that way. If you're just really unhappy and emotionally troubled, you suffer that way. There's lots of ways to suffer, but it means you're kind of going through a long period of bad luck and bad situations in your life.
A really rough time.
And it's really not an easy time to get through, but
Yeah.
you gotta just keep going. As they say, if you're going through hell, keep going. It says, my grades suffered due to missing classes. So I did suffer, but my grades also had a bad situation. They went down because I didn't study.
Right, and then Valerie says, there are no easy solutions. We all just have to vote for what we think is best. And that is what it means to vote. Because if we all do it as a community, then that is, going to decide what's best for everyone. And so we have solution, that is our noun, and it basically means a way to solve a problem. Hey, this is my idea of what can fix this problem. This is the solution. So for example, there is only one solution to this problem. That's the example sentence, but Valerie is kind of saying, hey, Brian, listen, I'm not completely right. You're not completely right. Everyone's a little bit right. No one's, there isn't just one answer.
Yes, and they might disagree about what party to vote for and what the government should do, but they do agree about something here. Brian says, agreed. He agrees with her. It's important to vote, and that's what it's all about. It's good that we have the vote at all. He's just kind of saying, we're lucky in this country that we can pick our leaders. Of course, as he says, people in many other countries don't have that right.
Or people of color or women didn't always have the right to vote.
That is very true.
So Valerie is saying, well said. And this discussion, this dialogue was truly a agree to disagree, conversation where, it's kind of different from our first one where they were just talking about something very simple, not very important. It's not friendship breaking. But this is something that, if they kind of went about it in a rude way, maybe they wouldn't still be friends.
Exactly right. You can't take that stuff too seriously, especially with friendships on the line. And I think it's also a good way to show that, you can disagree with someone, you can do it in a polite way, and at the end of the conversation, they're still friends. They just know that they disagree on this topic.
But I think we can both agree that this was a very interesting topic, and I'm sad to see you guys go, but that's the end of today's episode.
I agree. Bye.
在第4段对话里 Brian 和 Valerie 在讨论选举。Brian 打算投给黄党，因为他们承诺要减税。那么 Valerie 则打算要投给紫党，因为紫党会把更多的钱投入学校和医院。他认为那正是这个国家所需要的。那 Brian 接着就提到，如果不减税，经济就会受到影响，每个人的钱都会减少。那看来双方立场不同 ，Valerie 认为这没有简单的解决方案，他们都只能投给自己认为最好的选择。而 Brian 也同意他的看法。而且呢，有投票权是很棒的事情，许多其他国家的人没有这个权利。我们看到对话中的2位主角用尊重、有礼貌的方式来沟通，去表达自己不同的意见，这是很棒的事。那我们要补充一下 ，Winnie 老师刚刚用到 respectful 这个形容词，在 respect 后面加上 ful， 构成这个形容词，表示尊重人的、有礼貌的或是恭敬的。再来看单字 election。Election 它表示选举，是个名词。那 Mike 老师在解释时，他用到 poll 这个字 ，P-O-L-L，poll 就表示民意调查。再看到下一个单字 suffer 是动词，它表示遭受、经历，像是经历困难，它也有受苦、受折磨的意思。那这时候老师有提到 hardship，hard 后面加上 S-H-I-P， 那这个名词它表示艰苦、艰难。我们再看到 solution 这个字是当名词，在这边是指解决办法。好，那以上这些讲解，同学别走开，马上回来哦。
Horace and Patricia are talking about their wedding plans.
Have you thought any more about where we should have the wedding?
Yes. I love all the options we've considered, but ultimately, I'd like to get married on the beach. I think it would be lovely.
I was thinking the same. It's pretty easy for our families to get there too.
Exactly.
And what about the honeymoon?
I'd love to go to Italy. It's so beautiful.
And the food is great.
Exactly. I'm so excited. It's going to be the best time of our lives.
Brian and Valerie are sitting in a cafe.
So, who are you going to vote for in the election?
I'm voting for the Purple Party. What about you?
The Yellow Party, of course. They're promising to cut taxes.
Sure, but the Purple Party is going to put more money into schools and hospitals. I think that's exactly what this country needs.
Well, the economy will suffer if taxes don't go down, so there will be less money for everyone.
There are no easy solutions. We all just have to vote for what we think is best.
Agreed. It's good that we have the vote at all. People in many other countries don't have that right.
Well said.
Liyu Lake is a dammed lake located at the foot of Liyu Mountain. At night, you can hear frogs singing. Around April and May, it's firefly season, and you can see tiny lights flying everywhere. Visitors can enjoy being surrounded by dense green forests and clear blue water. Liyu Lake is the biggest inland lake in Hualien County. It's about 1.4 kilometers wide, 2 kilometers long, and up to 15 meters in depth. The lake is surrounded by mountains. They make beautiful reflections on the lake's surface. Around the lake is a 4-kilometer long road. It takes 1 hour to complete. The lake has barbecue stands, a campsite, a parking lot, and food stands. Some stands rent small boats that can be taken out on the lake.
Liyu Lake is a great place for a getaway.
At Liyu Lake, renting a bike allows you to enjoy the beautiful lake and mountain views as you ride around. During Dragon Boat Festival, you have the opportunity to watch people race dragon boats, and on regular days, you can see visitors pedaling swan boats. Isn't it fun to enjoy the scenery where the mountains and lake come together?